Okay, let's play some damn chess.
No. I mean, I just want to get full context.
China?
Listen, I don't understand why it's such an
Street
issue
whore.
when you guys propose something to me. I say, okay, I want to read it.
Arnaz, let me tell you something. Justin is very nice. I am not. Right? Like, I don't like snowflakes. He did not say we're not going to do it. He's just telling you it's not going to succeed.
I never said he wasn't sad.
No, that is what you said. Calm down again.
I think I'm very.
I don't know.
You actually seem like
Just look. I want you to stop talking for a second. Because you're getting this nervous thing and it's starting to...
This nervous thing.
Yeah, the nervous thing is when you talk while other people are talking. Stop doing that.
You've talked over me.
Come on, you slut.
No.
Then how am I nervous if I talk over you?
I haven't talked over you. Now
Stop it,
listen to what you're doing it again. You're doing it right now. So, nobody said we're not going to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin is telling you that the Greek is not going to help you.
Mm-hmm. And this is all I said to that was simply, why is it an issue? And I wasn't even actually really
Stop the damn game, you
to him,
son of a bitch.
But why is it an issue? Because it seems like every time you guys make a point that I say, okay, well, can we read this or can we take this into account with it? You guys seem to say I'm either running or just yapping.
She got some
missing
arms out there.
Justin has said that I'm missing the point. When I do say things like that,
the only thing he said in this moment was that it's not going to help you. I have the word in front of me. It's Cataluo. Do you know what that means?
Okay, let's look into it.
Bitch.
How do you spell it?
Well, it's... So, wait.
I'll put it on the screen.
Bitch. Don't even think like
it's in Greek. And you can just, instead of taking my word for it, you could just go to any of the concordances.
Okay, hold on. Sorry.
So it means to destroy, to dissolve, to overthrow, to abolish.
I'm sure
I
you
would
do
take
it.
those.
Come on, you bitch.
Yeah, and I would take those to be synonyms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like this is the thing. I said I want to get context before I sit here and just start saying a whole bunch of random stuff.
I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. That's why I went to it.
Come on. He's bringing out that whore.
He hasn't come to get rid of, he hasn't come to, I'll take all four. He hasn't come to destroy the law. He hasn't come to dissolve the law. He has not come to overthrow the law. And he has not come to abolish the law. Are we good with that?
Suck my slut.
Okay. So, and by the law, he means...
I would assume he's talking about the Mosaic Law.
Okay, great. So just to recap, when he says until heaven and earth pass away, he's talking about that law until the sky and the earth go away is still in effect. Like nobody's getting rid of it. Right?
He's not getting rid of it until that happens.
All right. Is somebody else getting rid of it?
I mean, don't know.
And he didn't say, I'm not going to get rid of it. He said, it shall not pass away until heaven and earth pass away. Not one iota, not one stroke of a letter shall pass away from the law until everything is to happen.
Let's see. Okay, so he says that. What does he mean by he has came to fulfill it?
God damn it.
So I don't think it's relevant, but I'm going to go into it anyway. My interpretation would be to follow the law, which he also didn't do.
Okay. So my question is, why would he say all of this and then go on to give several commands to people?
Because he's a liar. You know, in that very same chapter,
he almost said
he changed the law. He's a liar.
Yeah.
In Matthew 17, he said not one letter, right? And then I think it's in verse 38, he goes, hey, you know that eye for an eye thing? We don't do that no more. That's changing a letter. That's a few letters. So if he's saying not one letter, not one stroke of a pen will change. And he can't even wait a chapter. It's like I need to, you know how badly I need this H drug that is changing the law. I need to do it within the same chapter.
Which keep in mind is another contradiction with Deuteronomy 4. God says in Deuteronomy 4, you must neither add anything to what I am commanding you, nor take anything away from it, but keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I am charging you. And so Jesus coming along and adding or taking away or anything of that nature is just breaking the law.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron. I mean,
before you go on, do you agree with what I say about fulfill is follow the law, or do you have a different interpretation? When do you think fulfill means to follow the law, or do you have a different interpretation of what it means to fulfill?
I mean, well, when I read this verse, I can see where you got your interpretation from. It makes sense, but when I hear fulfill, I'm assuming he's saying he came to complete it, bring to fullness, because that's also another translation of that phrase there.
Great. What does it mean to bring a law to fullness and complete it?
I'd say it would. How do I put this? Because my thought process right now is sure. I mean, technically, you could say it would be to follow it, right? Because. But then also like as him being God, he would have had an end goal for it, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I think I probably have to just really look into this more, honestly speaking.
I'm willing to accept bring the conclusion, but when you say bring the conclusion, there's two ways that I can interpret.
Yeah.
Bring the conclusion like add like complete it because it wasn't finished, like add stuff to it to like make more sense. Or complete it as in like finish its purpose so we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I think add to it, I guess. Well, not even. I guess like explain it more so that it makes more sense would be very valuable. Because I mean that's the whole. In this context, right? When we just look at this entire passage, that would be the definition I think that would make the most concise because thereafter he goes on and explains the old law, but he kind of elaborates more on it. Like, for example, that one example you gave, right? Where it said, eye for eye, but then he goes on to say, hold on, I really just have to pull up the verse.
That's the one that's the problem. Like, all of the ones after Matthew, all of the ones in Matthew 5 that he does, right? Every one is perfectly fine, except for that one. Because when he says, it is said not to... Actually, I'm going to put it up. I think it says you shouldn't commit adultery, but if you look at a woman, you shall not. Yeah, that's adding. And I mean, you know what? I'm going to be super generous and say we're going to reinterpret. Like you shall not commit adultery, but I mean when I say adultery, I mean looking at a woman with lust. Fine. My wife agree.
That's what I was saying.
My wife would agree. Okay, so that one's good. The anger, you shall not murder. But I say to you, if you are angry with your brother and sister, you're still going to be judged. Okay,
that's it.
That's a reinterpretation.
That was my whole.
Hold on. I'm okay with all of these. You shall not swear falsely, and he gives another interpretation. But the eye for an eye one, right? If the law says an eye for an eye, that means that if I poke out Justin's eye, you got to get mine, right? Turn the other cheek is not a reinterpretation. There is no way that you can read an eye for an eye that says turn the other cheek. That is the exact opposite of an eye for an eye.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, I could understand that, but the theme that I'm getting from this, because like, sure, it's reinterpretation, but the thing I'm getting from it is more so further alive. How put this? That with that specific verse, right? With Jesus saying, turn your cheek. I guess he's more so saying, as opposed to you going and getting vengeance on this person, which you were originally commanded, just leave it be, right? Just accept it.
I'm with you on that, but what I'm saying is that's not reinterpreting. That's changing.
I mean,
It is.
Give me 1 second. Because it's like I can see where you're coming from.
Let me give you what it would look like for another one of these reinterpretations. It would be like if I was to say, you have heard it said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I tell you, if your husband cheats, give him another woman. Wait, again. That's what turn the other cheek is, right? If somebody takes your eye, or somebody slaps you in the face, give them your other cheek. Cheeks, get it? But that's what you're saying. You're saying, hey, if somebody commits adultery, it's not just that they're looking. Just give them a second woman to cheat with, or a third one. That's what he's saying, right? Not about adultery, but about the retaliation. He's saying, do not do what it says in the law. Do this instead.
Right. And it's pretty simple to suss out. Like, what's the opposite of retaliate?
Don't retaliate. Like I said, I understand. I don't understand how I can be so easily misunderstood. Like I'm saying, I get the point you guys are trying to make. I actually agree with some of them. It's just I feel like in certain aspects, I don't wholeheartedly agree with everything. I feel like. I mean, because you gotta realize at the end of the day, this is just me explaining what I believe, right? And you explaining what you believe, and then going about how we came.
I don't think that's what's happening right now.
I'm getting in your business. I'm getting in your business.
So if I say the law in Exodus 21 says that whatever harm you
that's literally what I just said.
Hold on. This isn't belief. This has nothing to do.
Okay, hold on. When I say belief, I'm referring to your understanding. The understanding that you subscribe to.
Okay. Let me just show you why that's not the case. I'm going to show you. In Exodus 21, where it says eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. How do you interpret that?
So I understand this law. Basically, if someone does something, you do it back to them.
And that's the law. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. Is there any other interpretation to these words? Is there any other interpretation? Like if I was to say the law. But I interpret that to mean an eye to a cherry Sunday.
All right. So the thing is, though, when I hear that law, what I understand the principles lying beneath it. I think that's more so what Jesus is reinterpreting. He's reinterpreting the principles that lie beneath these laws. Right?
Let's look at this law.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So what
principle are you gaining from the word?
Exactly.
Stop. I'm reading it to you because you're speaking in generalities. That when you speak in generalities,
I haven't even begun to explain what I'm saying. I feel like if you would just hear me out.
No. I'm telling you why it sounds like you're selling me something. We're talking about something very specific, and you're speaking in something very general. I'm looking at Exodus 21. It says, if any harm follows, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. What principle does that outline for you?
Okay, that's what I was trying to explain. The principle that is backing this is that when somebody causes harm to you, you are to give that harm back to them.
Okay.
That's the principle. What I get from when we go and read Matthew, what Jesus is attempting to do in this is saying, okay, you were told previously, when harm is done to you, do harm back to that person. Instead of that, I say, when someone harms you, don't harm that person back. Be open.
He's bringing out that whore.
Okay,
That's the kind of interpretation of this principle.
That would be a change. That's what Jeff said.
God,
are those
I mean, like I'm saying it. How about this? Sure. I mean, if you want, you can say it's a change. Let's see how you could. I see how you could.
It's a change. If the law says you can go 55 miles an hour and not faster than 55, and someone comes along later and says you can go as fast as you want, that's a change. Like if the law of Moses says that you retaliate with the same level that was waged against you, meaning if someone took your hand, you take their hand, and then somebody comes along later and says don't do that, it's a change.
Okay, let me ask you this. So why was it that in the Old Testament, with this specific lawgiving, right? Why was it that God advocated for people to do back to others what they did to them? What was his reasoning?
Because the Old Testament God's a jackass.
Okay, and that's the thing right there. It is also ethically.
Look, I'm gonna give you
back to others what they did to them. What was his reasoning?
Because the Old Testament God's a jackass.
Okay, and that's the thing right there. It is also ethically.
Look, I'm gonna give you.
I make this point.
I don't think a single point you've made has been important yet.
If you could let me talk,
Hold on. I want to answer your question as well. He's also a plagiarist.
Okay, cool. So my understanding of why God would give that law to people is because he wants people to have he wants to give people justice, if that makes sense. If someone does something to you, you do it back to them. That's justice, right?
That's not justice.
Yes, hell it is, bitch.
I disagree with you in that aspect.
That used to be justice. It's not justice anymore. Like we wouldn't
exactly.
We don't consider that justice today. That's called vengeance.
Exactly.
And I think society has moved on, and that's kind of the problem.
Exactly.
The God who gave Arnav, the God who said to follow this commandment said to follow it forever.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about this. That's what these commandments say, but we're coming to this passage where it essentially seems to be saying, right?
Because God and Jesus don't even agree with each other.
I disagree with you. Like we were saying, I thought that premise of
how long did Yahweh say to follow the laws?
Until heaven and earth pass away. How long did Jesus say?
He said, no. Yahweh said forever. Always. Not even until heaven and earth pass away. Deuteronomy 11, he says always. Deuteronomy 29, he says forever. Forever and ever.
I think the conversation is getting repetitive. I want to get another guest up here, and then we've got. I apologize, we had a shitload of super chats. I think what I'll do is I'll get one more good conversation in the next guest, and then we'll go through the super chats all at once. And then we'll, because I'm done at 5 o'clock today, but.
Forever and ever.
I think the conversation is getting repetitive. I want to get another guest up here, and then we've got. I apologize, we had a shitload of super chats. I think what I'll do is I'll get one more good conversation in with the next guest, and then we'll go through the super chats all at once. And then we'll, because I'm done at 5 o'clock today, but Arno, I appreciate you coming with us, and I know we put some pressure on you. But one thing I would leave you to think about is, sometimes you're going to run into atheists, and you might want to consider the possibility that they've already read the book, and they might know it better.
I do that all the time. Trust. Like, I never say you didn't read the book. I just feel like sometimes you listen. You can lead a horse to water, but it's up to the horse whether or not.
That's true. I've given you water all day, and you didn't want to drink it. It's okay.
Hey, but that's the difference between me and you. I'm gonna look into the things you're saying and investigate them.
Yeah. The difference between you is you won't drink the water, and I will because I'm on it. It's okay.
But you haven't drunk.
I've literally dunked your head under the water, and you're here flailing as you're gasping for breath, saying, "I'm not underwater. I'm not underwater."
You're trying to force me into the water, but I'm going to again. That's the thing. I'm just gonna. That's besides the point. I gave you a not.
All right, cool. Jeff, you want to take another guest? Oh, let's grab another guest from the queue, and we'll pull him in. We're gonna do the. What's afraid to pull him in? We're gonna pull in the redneck sage. I'm sure this will be enlightening. How you doing, redneck sage?
I'm so glad I got to get up here. I know I don't have quite the expertise with the Bible and the details that you have, but there's something that I did learn that maybe you know about already.
Let's get some background. So are you? Yeah, I'll hold on. Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm Christian. I'm Christian.
So I ask everyone the same questions when they come in. I verify that they're of age. It sounds like you're of age. I ask them what their religious belief is or their God belief is, and it sounds like you're a Christian. That's all I needed from you. So I guess the next thing I would ask is, What's the argument? What's the argument you came here to present?
Well, I'm particularly glad that you understand Greek because this has to do exactly with the portion of the argument that I'm going to make. There's a guy that I learned this from. His name is Chuck Misler, and he's talking. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. He's talking about. Can you please? Please, I hope you don't just offhandedly dismiss. It's bozo that you're referring to.
Do you know his education was in?
Engineering.
Spit.
Yeah.
Not medical studies, right?
No, but he did quite an extensive amount of work in this area that I'm about to talk about.
Sure he did.
And also, but the area, the stuff that he had referenced, that I'm specifically referenced to, was work that was done by Dr. Panin or Panin, I'm not sure, P-A-N-I-N. And what it has to do with is coding within the Bible text that would be impossible. Hold on now. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. But since you know Greek, it's so funny. I'd like to see if you could do this thing that I'm going to ask you to do.
So I'll just stop you now because I think what you're going to do is waste everyone's time, and I'm going to tell you why it's a waste of time. So just hold on to your seat for 5 seconds. I'm going to tell you why Bible code is stupid. The reason why Bible codes are stupid is because it assumes that whatever manuscripts we have, that they all say the same thing, and they simply don't. You can take any number of the various Bible manuscripts. They'll have different words, they'll have them in different orders, sometimes they'll be missing words. The reality is Bible codes are nonsense unless you only have one single manuscript or all of your manuscripts agree, and they simply don't. So Bible codes are nonsense. Do you have anything other than Bible codes?
No, that's actually not true, and I'm making this argument that it doesn't matter because the chance of somebody getting this many specifics to line up in order and happen in one text is approaches an impossibility that's on the order.
That's certainly not true. In fact, there's software that finds these like codes in text, and the experiment has been done on any number of large volumes. So like this whole nonsense of, hey, some guy that had a piece of software searched for Bible codes. Cool, people have done it in other books as well.
Well, my argument is that even with the computer, you couldn't write. You could find text like that. You could find significance in text like that, but you couldn't lay it out and write it.
Oh, sure.
To be such. And then you can do it also across several. Well, you know what? I'd love to see. I'd like to see you even begin to approach that when taking, just say, okay, the verse specifically that I'm talking about is the last chapter of Matthew, which is so many words, or whatever. You know how Greek is, it has each letter has a number attached to it, correct?
No.
It doesn't?
No.
Does Hebrew?
So Hebrew and Greek do have number, so there are numerical values to the individual letters in Greek and Hebrew. Now Hebrew is different. So in Hebrew, they actually spelled out the numbers. The numbers weren't added to the Hebrew letters until the Greco-Roman period. So that was a late invention. When the Bible was actually written in Hebrew, they didn't have that convention yet. That was added later. Now, when it comes to Greek, they do have a similar convention where each individual number does, or each individual letter does have a number value. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And so what happened is that having that convention style Greek, and Chuck goes on to say that Greek is even more precise a language than English is, and so would be one that would be more difficult to try to manipulate it. Right? Is that there are 70, what the Dr. Panini found is that there were 74 different rules that he found that were that this portion of text is meaning say, and I'll give you some examples of what the types of rules were.
Redneck, do you actually know Greek?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you literally have no idea what you're talking about right now, then.
No, I know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter whether I know Greek or not. You're not going to be able to discount what things I'm saying because I can understand what Chuck Mr. was saying. I can understand. I know how lexicon of language goes, and so I understand how you could attach a number value to letters, and that makes perfect sense. That's elementary. And so
you do know that Greek, like Hebrew, also used words for numbers as well, right? Just make sure we're aware of this.
Sure. Well, but the way I'm talking about is the way that Greek was written out, and the way that the Greek attached a number value to each letter.
But first of all, just be clear. Like when you're reading Greek text, they don't just lay out letters as numbers. They actually spell it out.
Okay, well, what I'm talking about is each letter has a number value that's associated with it.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Have you ever heard the concept of a bunch of monkeys in a room with a room full of typewriters who will eventually write all the works of Shakespeare? Have you ever heard of that?
That wouldn't happen.
Wouldn't happen. I agree with you.
Given enough time, but given enough time.
I think it's nonsense. Have you ever heard of the Library of Babel?
Library of Babel is great.
Let me ask you this.
It's just a yes or no question.
Have you ever heard of it? Okay, cool. Do you know what that is?
He doesn't.
No, but is the Library of Babel, is that something to do with? I told you I'm not a
This has nothing to do with it.
text expert. And my argument's not hinged on it.
This has nothing to do with the Bible. Actually, it has less than nothing to do with the Bible.
Right. Okay, so what's your statement?
So I'm just going to ask you, have you heard of the Library of Babel? Not the tower, the library.
Oh, no, I have not.
Okay, great. So this is a project that some people put together, and it is a database of strings of letters, just random strings of letters. And it's at libraryofbabel.info, and this is so impressive. If you write anything that comes to mind, any lowercase string of letters, you could write, I love Mario Brothers. And it will find it in the database.
Come up in the text.
It's already there. It'll find it.
It's already there, right. And
up to 3,200 characters. And this, literally, you can examine the code. It is a random letter generator. I think that is far more impressive than any confirmation bias in numerology that's going to happen from the New Testament.
Well,
For the reason that justice. I don't have original manuscripts of the first four books of the New Testament. I don't know what was said there to begin with. But this, I can look at the source code, right? I can see what the initial code was. I can actually, if I wanted to, go through the DNS and the Whois and find the person who owns this and talk to them and say, hey, can you give me like the information for how to put this together? And they'll be like, here you go. And that to me is like, if I was able to write any of the crazy stuff that comes to my mind, you should hear me talk. Sometimes I say wild stuff. I can find it in here. I tested it. That's super amazing to me.
Well, have you tested this? And I'd like to maybe try it with just maybe even one sentence. If you conjure this kind of conformity to this type of system. Let me just give you a few of the rules that are laid out in the rules here. Say if you were to take this passage, which it has so many words in it, the total number.
You haven't even looked at the passage yet. What you're saying?
It doesn't matter what the passage is.
Give me the passage so I can pull it up in Greek and verify if you're saying bullshit.
May I finish the rules of saying, and then we can try to do that?
I will be looking at your rules as I'm looking at the passage. So, no, Redneck, you will not. You will give me the passage first.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, listen,
this is a no crying zone. Give me the passage.
Nobody's crying.
I will check your claims against the passage. So what's the passage?
It doesn't matter what the passage is.
It does. You're the one bringing it up.
So do you have a Greek version of Matthew, the last chapter of Matthew in front of you?
I can get it. Yeah, is that what you want? The last chapter of Matthew?
Yes, in Greek.
Okay.
Last chapter of Matthew in Greek.
Which version of Greek? Do you want like the Nestle Allen Greek, Westcott Hort Greek, which critical apparatus?
The most ancient version of Greek that was around at the time, around the first century when these texts were written.
Well, we don't have one. The earliest is probably going to be Sinaiticus.
Okay, well that seems like that might be the most obvious choice then.
Okay, so like 5th century, cool. Maybe 4th century for being generous. Okay, so we're going to do Matthew 28 in the Sinaiticus. Let's see if I can open up a copy.
And we don't have Greek that goes back as far as the first century?
No.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that.
Okay, I'm going to pull open Codex Sinaiticus from the actual website. We'll go to Matthew 28. So what do you want to say about Matthew 28?
Kick back, Jack!
Okay, so then could you lay next to it, you know how we had discussed how there's a value, that each letter has a value representation as well? He showed it, and I'll try to pull it up if I can do that.
Stupid!
Say, let me see here. That, what you had spoken about, you know more about Greek than I do, but I'm just referring to the fact that Greek has each letter has a number value attached to it, and
Kiss one of those pieces goodbye, slut. Now fuck up and move this right now.
Does it not?
Right here.
No. But go ahead. I'm listening.
But you said before that it did.
Not literature, no.
Dumbass.
In what capacity does it have a number value attached to it?
Not in literature. Like when you're counting, it has numerical values. When you're doing literature, it does not.
Okay, so if you have
get that four out of here, slut.
And you're counting, does that have a number value attached to it? Or whatever A is, the first letter of the alphabet.
If you're doing math, yes. If you're writing literature, no.
And are those symbols the same as the ones that are written for literature?
Yeah, they can be the same if you're doing math, not if you're doing literature.
Okay, you can't make the jump here where if they're the same symbols, but they're used in different contexts. You can't see how you might be able to apply that. Oh wow, this A and this when doing literature means A, the letter A, but over here it means the number one, but they're the same symbol. You can't.
That's exactly what I just said. I don't know why this is not for you. I'm still waiting for the proof.
So you can't do that?
I did do that. You weren't paying attention.
Oh, okay. So then what you want to do is take this verse, this last verse of Matthew, and count the number of letters attached
in which manuscript, by the way? Just
the Sinaiticus. Whatever's the oldest text.
The
oldest one you have.
The last 12 verses.
Should I include the textual variants or not? Because there are textual variants.
Why are the textual variants?
Don't even think about it!
Because some things are written in the margins. You see it on the screen. You see these red texts in the margin.
Was it written in the margin in the first century?
We have no manuscript from the first century. None. This is the oldest complete manuscript of the New Testament.
What you're talking about in the margins,
fucking piss me off.
Some of them are footnotes, some of them are additions, some of them are retractions. It depends. There's a whole science behind how to read manuscript emendations.
Let's just take the text as it is written, not footnotes and stuff. Just take what's written down there.
And you want to know how many words are in what?
The last 12 verses.
The last 12 verses? Why the last 12 verses?
Because this is a specific portion that this person is referring to.
No, I want to know why the last 12 verses are relevant.
Because that's the portion that I know about this person chose to use as an example.
I'm asking you not what they chose. I'm asking why the last 12 verses are relevant, but the preceding 12 verses are not relevant. Why is that the case?
They are relevant, but that's not the portion that. Okay, listen. The codes are all over the whole Bible, and they link up from the New Testament to the Old Testament. But so this person took a snippet.
So the last 12 verses contain a code, but the prior 12 verses don't contain a code.
No, that's not what I said. I said the prior 12 verses contain a code as well, but the one that this person chose to take a snippet of from to use as an example to show the type of coding that's within merely just those 12 verses and the detail and complexity that's laid in just those 12. Can give you an example as an analogy for the way the complexity is laid out in the rest of the Bible and the way it's coded all together.
How many words do you think are there?
Jesus goddamn fucking Christ.
Let's see what this guy says. He says that there are pardon me. Sorry, I'm scanning through. Wait a minute. Sorry. Oh, here it is. I went to the wrong one. Sorry about that.
God damn.
Let's see. Okay, the vocabulary. Let's see. Right. Okay. Total vocabulary. I believe there are 98 words.
Okay, so 98 words
in this portion. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to put this on the scratch pad for everyone to see. In fact, you can't see it right now because the browser's open. So on the scratch pad, there are 98 words in the last 12 verses of Matthew 28. Okay, now, for the sake of argument, let's just say that's true. I'm not going to waste my time counting it. Why does that matter?
Because it's divisible by 7 evenly.
Why the fuck do I care?
Well, because every single one of these rules.
This is the craziest bullshit I've ever heard. Okay, so what you're suggesting is if I count the number of words that I want, I can make it divisible. I can do that shit with Harry Potter.
The number of words you want? No.
Yeah. So this goes exactly to what I thought it was going to. Right?
No, you can do it if you choose.
This goes back to exactly what I said it was going to, which is why somebody arbitrarily selected 12 verses, and those arbitrarily selected 12 verses just happen to add up to a number that is divisible by 7. I didn't even do the math. I don't even know if it is in fact divisible by 7. We could do that real quick, though. 1 second.
Jesus Christ.
The last 12 verses of Matthew.
Christ.
Yes.
The final 12 verses.
Fucking
Yes.
98 words.
Right.
In Greek, in the Codex Sinaiticus.
Yes.
It's
He's seen a
165.
fucking whore.
Maybe it wasn't the. I'll tell you what maybe I'm wrong about.
Redneck, you've placed your trust in dullards who don't know what they're doing.
I'm not placing any trust. This is something this is some conjecture that look, I placed my trust in Christ, but what I haven't traced faithfully my trust in Chuck Missler or the Dr. Cannon guy. That's not what I'm saying here at all. Those two don't. I don't hinge one on the other at all. I do have a complete trust in Christ. But this is information that I've learned from outside of my knowledge of Christ that I'm curious about that I'd like to see you refute.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What outside of asking Justin have you done to verify that information?
Christ the fuck.
I haven't done any.
Okay, cool. I'm going to tell you why. And I don't mean this in a mean way. I mean this in I'm currently at work and I love my job, so I'm in such a good mood. So I'm not going to be mean to you.
I don't see why you would be mean. We're having a discussion.
Because I'm a mean person.
Well, you know what? I bet you probably are.
You
are the one that has to live with that every day.
Redneck, you don't live with that. Redneck, I don't know if you know this. You don't have to talk every time Jeff talks. You can just listen sometimes.
And I'm going to tell you something. I have a PhD in Jeff Fermento species. There is zero about Jeff Fermento species that you can tell me that I don't already know. So self-aware. I'm cool with it. I'm going to tell you this, and I don't mean it as mean as it's going to sound. I don't care one iota about you telling us about this numerology that you haven't looked into, because it's like you're telling us that there is anchovies in Breyer's vanilla ice cream. And somebody
I just hit your up.
Is there anchovies in Breyer's vanilla ice cream? Like, I don't care about that. Now, if you have a reason that you have your trust in Jesus, that's interesting to me, because that's the stuff that presumably you verify. The other stuff is boring. Like, we can refute that by accident. Like, I literally just pulled up the same thing that Justin did and started counting, and I got 165.
So Jeff, I also did. I just copy and pasted all the Greek words from Codex Sinaiticus for the last 12 verses, and I got 197 words.
Okay, let me make sure. I probably
so not 98's not even close.
Now fuck up and overlook this right here.
Let's see if I
the ear, you're a whore.
Okay, I believe the verse starts with from verse 9 going to.
From verse 9 through 20.
Yep, that's what I copied. 20. I copied verse 9 to 20, and then I put it into Google Documents, and I told it to do a word count.
God damn it.
How many? 106?
197.
I said 165, but Justin accurately counted 197. And I'm going to go with Justin because he put it in a like, I'm counting, like, pointing with my finger. He's got the actual count right there in front of us. So, do you see why I'm saying that part is boring? Like, me, like, I don't want to tell you that you're, like, falling for a Nigerian prince song. It looks like...
Okay, so why is there a discrepancy?
Hold on, somebody's getting a phone call. I don't know if it's Jeff or Redneck, but both of you swipe away real quick and come back. We'll make sure we can get it fixed up real quick. So try this again.
I'm good.
I think it was Redneck. I assume it wasn't Jesus calling, but if it was, he was telling them that this is a bad idea. I assume it wasn't Jesus calling, but if it was... Okay, Redneck, you haven't swiped away yet. Swipe away from the app, go to the home screen of your phone, and then open the app back up again. Or just leave. I mean, it's just as well. He didn't have an argument.
Look, I'm normally super mean about this stuff, but, like, I feel like when I heard this thing from a guy and I never checked it, I just see people going to Western Union to send $250 to some guy in Nigeria. That's what I see in my head. Because if you didn't check it, but then you're going up in front of 2,000 people to say, this is the thing that I know, and isn't it cool? Cooler than the thing that you can verify. By the way, I found the phrase "the Bible is false" in the Library of Babel. Insanity, but, like,
it's a miracle.
Once you see that, and you're like, no, this thing that I haven't looked at is so much cooler because it has all of these numbers that I haven't looked at, and I don't know. I feel bad. I feel bad for people who like, you're gonna get conned and scammed in your life over and over and over again.
Yeah, and he did. Personally. All right, well, we got time for another. Let me grab another guest. We'll pull him in, and then we'll do super chats at the end. So let's grab Philip and see what Philip has to say. I do like doing super chats in between the guests, but we talked to that one guest for 2 hours. And I know if I start reading super chats now, all the guests will actually leave. It's going to take like an hour to get through them. I want to get a guest in here, then we'll do super chats. We'll probably start doing super chats at 4 o'clock, friends. Maybe 4:10. We'll try to get a good conversation in here, though. If Philip can connect. Philip might not be able to connect, but to move on to the next guest.
Spit.
Philip can connect. They're on that new Mega Mobile plan with that fake gold telephone he's selling for like $500.
Oh my God, that website. is a thing of nightmares.
I fucked.
I still can't
Oh!
he didn't connect. All right, well, we'll move on to Keith. I thought I actually just talked to Keith like earlier this week, so this should be a lot of fun. Welcome back, Keith.
Hey, my man. How you doing, guys?
Doing good. Keith, I assume you came back because you read something between our last conversation and now, and you came to prove me wrong.
Suck my dick, bitch.
Well, no, not read something. I was trying to go back up yesterday, but your, what do you call that? Your mod didn't want me to come up to your reading and super chat, so I was like, I'll be respectful about it, but I had my kids with me, so my kids started having fun. So.
Keith, you get really bad echo. Can you, are you on speakerphone? What's happening over there?
Alright, just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
God damn it.
There you go. Good.
God fucking.
I think it's good right now.
Yeah, sorry. I was on YouTube.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, so, I would like to do one correction about the eunuch thing yesterday. So, you know, eunuch is an encompassing term, right?
I mean, it could be broad. I think the question we're having right now is how did they make eunuchs to the people in Bible times?
Yeah, so from the Middle East, there's actually an essay on this as well, so I should refer to my essay.
God damn it.
But it was a part of the Katrina where it was, they castrated by cleaning, cut off both penis and both, genitalia were removed. So that's what I was inferring when I was reading eunuch, because that's the essay is actually written by a man who lives in the Middle East who's doing history of the Middle East. So.
Right, but we're talking about the Jews?
Yeah, so the Jews are in the Middle East.
I do agree. Do you think that the Jews were doing that?
Yes. You have both circumstances. So sometimes people will have just the genitalia removed, and sometimes it'll be both. So that's what the paper was talking about. And then even other cultures different Chinese. So that's
God fucking damn it.
The definition we're using right now is just the simplistic definition, but historically that's been it encompasses both of those.
God damn it.
And then back
well,
to
I'm saying the word castration can, right? And I'm certainly aware that different people groups have different customs. I know that in ancient China, there were eunuchs that literally had their penises removed. I don't think anyone's questioning whether or not the word can mean both. I'm suggesting that the eunuchs of the Bible, when it talks about eunuchs, the majority of the time, these typically referring to people that have been castrated, but I mean, listen. If
I had a bad dream last night that 2 nights ago that I had been castrated.
Oh, no. I'm saying both of them. So when I'm reading it, I'm going to do both of them because you had the cult prostitutes and then you just had the generic. So you have those people who were serving in high palaces. So say for instance the story of Meshach and Abednego, they were castrated. So it's just to be able to distinguish both. But it's an encompassing term. So when I'm using that term, it's encompassing that. So just a heads up.
Because I don't really know how this fixes the problem. So the question we were having was whether or not eunuchs in the Bible had their penises lopped off or just their balls.
No, I'm saying in circumstantial, but
just the balls.
That's the word encompasses both. That's what I'm simply saying.
The word has a semantic range, and depending on where you lived, it could be one or the other or both. I'm asking for the evidence that among the Jews, castration meant that you would have your thing lopped off.
It would be applied to the people around them. So say for instance the cult prostitutes.
There were no cult prostitutes in Israel. In fact, God specifically forbade it. And the cult prostitutes that would have been in Israel would have been following the customs of their people because they're in Israel.
No. So the people around them, because you had sojourners,
damn it.
So the law was supposed to be applied to both the sojourners and the people of Israel.
Damn it.
No, I agree. If somebody came from outside the land and they were a cult prostitute, say in Assyria,
Fucking
sure, it's possible that according to the local Syrian custom that they were abiding by, that they got their thing lopped off.
Suck my
Right. And so when they came into the land, when you read Isaiah, like you read last time, if they wanted to practice,
you suck my dick,
say for instance, leave their old ways, they were also grafted in.
But
So they're able to do
I don't
that.
think you understand why eunuchs were part of the conversation. Do you recall why we were talking about eunuchs?
Yes, because of slavery. And so
I don't believe so. Maybe I forgot the conversation. I brought up the eunuchs as far as I recall. Shit, I don't even know why I brought up eunuchs at this point.
So
How do eunuchs make slavery okay? Is that what you're getting at?
Oh no, I didn't say make slavery okay. I said
Now
they were
fuck up and bring
free.
this point on here.
Oh no, that's not certainly the case. You're not on this bad talking point again, are you?
No, it's not
That's
that
crazy that you think lopping your penis off is going to make you a Hebrew that's allowed to be freed from slavery.
No, you're kind of strawman. You're strawmanning me, man. So let me clarify if you don't mind.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to catch everybody up. So you had a crazy theory yesterday, or whenever we talked, that as long as a foreign slave became an Israelite, they could be freed.
Correct.
That's not in the Bible.
Okay, so I would like for you to turn to Leviticus. What is it? Leviticus 25.
I'm glad you brought it up. Let's do Leviticus 25. These people, they never learn. Yeah, what specifically in Leviticus 25? Do you want to talk about verses 39 to 44?
No, actually 10 through just 10.
These are addressing actual Hebrew people. Says you shall hallow in the 50th year, and you shall proclaim liberty throughout the land to all of its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you.
So it says all the inhabitants, right? Does that exclude anybody, or is that all? Because all is an encompassing word, right?
Do you know what the jubilee was?
Yeah, the 50th year, right?
Yeah, and what happens in the jubilee?
In the jubilee, each of you shall return to his property, and each of you shall return to his clan.
There you go. It's about property and clans, right?
Now, quick question. How does the Bible describe clans as being?
The clans are of the Israelite clans.
No, it is not.
It is.
No, it's not. So if you go to Genesis chapter 17, verse 14, any uncircumcised male was not...
The clans didn't exist yet then.
Yes, they were.
They did not.
I'll actually disagree.
God damn it.
So Genesis 10, verse 20.
The Hebrew clans did not exist yet.
You're only using that as the Hebrew clans, but the law was...
That's who this is addressing. This is addressing the Hebrews. Leviticus 25 is instructions for the Hebrews.
All the people of the land.
Yes, the Hebrews.
No. So were the Gentiles allowed to practice how they wanted to in the land, or they were subjected to the law of the land?
They were subjected to the law of the land.
Law of the land, so that means everyone. When it says all inhabitants, that doesn't exclude the people who are sojourning.
All right, Keith, try to actually follow what I'm saying this time. Okay? Who in the land is allowed to have ancestral property passed down from generation to generation, and who does God specifically make laws for so that they won't lose their property?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about property.
I'm talking about properties and clans, so answer the question.
So that's a distinguishing, right? And means what? It's a distinguishing marker. So properties are separate from clans and clans. So
I said properties and clans. Which people
I'm
group?
talking about clans.
Which people group, Keith, in the Old Testament does God specifically lay out laws protecting them so that they won't lose their ancestral property, which is given according to their clan?
The property is given towards the clan, that's encompassing. So it's talking about the
Try this
Jews.
again. I said who? What people group? Which ones? Which people group does God give specific laws to that prevents them from losing their ancestral property that was distributed by clan?
Yeah, it's the Jew.
Thank you, that's the right word. Okay, so the Jews. So God is concerned in the sabbatical year and in the year of Jubilee about the people returning to their properties.
And clans.
Yes, of the Israelites.
No, it's not the Israelites.
The Israelites.
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying.
It's the Israelites. You want me to show you where?
No. You're not listening. So
You want me to show you where?
You remember when I said Abraham was a Hebrew?
You want me to show you where?
the law was given to the
Keith,
Hebrews.
just like last time we talked, the more you talk, the more silly you look when I show you why you're wrong. So it's up to you how silly you want to look.
The scholars even agree upon me with this.
They actually don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Okay. What scholar would you like to quote?
I'm just going to show you right now why you're wrong.
Well,
So
you think the scholars don't, so you're contrary. So what scholar would you like to quote?
I would quote, for example, Jacob Milgram. He wrote probably the most famous extract commentary on Leviticus ever. In fact, if you read any commentary on Leviticus, they're going to quote you from Jacob Milgram's commentary. You could also read like Nahum Sarnum or Baruch Levine or David W. Baker. I mean, there's lots of Old Testament scholars who have written on the book of Leviticus, and these are like real scholars, not like some guy you found on the internet.
And they talk about this particular topic?
Yeah, they sure do. Do you want to see why it's referring to the Israelites or not?
So what's the name of that scholar?
Do you want to see why from the Bible why it's referring to Israelites? Yes or no?
I've already read the law, man. That's what I'm saying.
So I'll just read it to you. If any who are dependent upon you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. They shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee. Okay, so these are people that are going to serve with you until the year of Jubilee. Follow?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not slaves. So they're hired or bound laborers, right? They became poor, now they're bound laborers, right?
Wait, can you say that again?
They're bound laborers.
No, can you say it again?
They're not slaves, they are bound laborers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then they and their children with them shall go out from your authority. They shall go back to their own family and return to their ancestral property. So again, this chapter is about the ancestral property. Now you might be asking, of who? Well, it tells you, for they are my servants who I brought out of the land of Egypt. Those are Hebrews. The Hebrews came out of the land of Egypt. God is concerned for the ancestral property of the Hebrews. That's what the year of Jubilee is about. That's why he goes on to tell you about the slaves that you can actually possess forever. That's why he says in verse 46, of the foreigners, not the Hebrews, you may keep them as a possession for your children after them, for you to inherit as property. And in the Hebrew, Keith, I don't know if you know this, I'll tell you again. They cannot hear you when you talk while I'm talking. My mic is louder than yours. Every time you talk while I'm talking, you're wasting every single breath that leaves your lips. So if you want me to read what you want to read, you have to wait for me to stop talking. So, now, 44 starts a section that is detailing, if you can't own your own fellow Hebrews as slaves, who can you own as slaves? And he tells you, as for the male and female slaves who you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves, and then also from their children, and so on and so forth. And how long can you keep them? Forever. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property, le'olam, forever.
And that's why I said it distinguishing, right? Is there a distinguisher?
There's a distinguishing between the Israelites and the non-Israelites. The non-Israelites can be slaves forever. The Israelites are, in fact, slaves temporarily.
And so it says property, right? When I'm using the term
yes,
clan,
they become your property.
Okay, and so clan and nation. Is there a distinguisher between clan and nation in Genesis?
It depends on which book of the Bible. So in Genesis, you could say there's a distinguishing between the clans and the nation because the nation of Israel had multiple clans.
So that's what I'm saying. If you go to Genesis chapter 10, verse 20, these are the sons of Ham by their clans. So what I'm saying, if they're a slave in the Hebrew around them on the year of Jubilee, they were released back to their clans. Back
Only
to their own
if
clans.
you are Hebrew.
It's not only Hebrew, my man.
It's only Hebrews.
It's not. It's just like, for instance.
We'll try this again. I know you weren't listening the first time I read it. I always have to read this 5 times, so I'll do it like really slowly this time, right? It says, "Then they and their children with them shall go out from your authority. They shall go back to their own family and return to their ancestral property. For," this is the because, "for they are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt." Those are all Israelites. He didn't bring the foreigners out of the land of Egypt. He brought the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. The Israelites are the ones that go back to their ancestral property. The foreigners are your property. They are your slaves forever.
And I'm saying, when it says clans, you're with the properties are default within what? Within their clans, that's a default.
Okay,
So
here's what you're going to do, Keith, because you did this last time we talked. You're going to address the point that I raised and stop pivoting to a new point. Why did God say about these people that they came out of the land of Egypt? Why did he say that? And who came out of Egypt?
The children of Israel.
Okay. Now, did he say that the people are going to go back to their land because they are God's people who he brought out of the land of Egypt?
Fucking goddamn Christ.
Yes.
Okay, did he bring anybody out of Egypt that weren't Israelites?
Yes.
Fucking Christ.
Who?
Fuck.
Anyone who wanted to come.
Show me that in the book. Show me where it says that non-Israelites left. It might be that we're not told, but many did. I'd even believe it. If the Exodus was real, I believe that there were some Egyptians that were like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. But I don't think that the Bible actually says that.
Uh-oh. Is that right up? Maybe can you... Oh, sorry. 1 moment. Daddy, give me 1 second.
Now fuck up and overlook this. God damn it. Suck my dick, bitch. Now fuck up and move that whore.
Some people never learn.
Stupid!
I thought Keith was going to
Because
come
that
back
was
on a new topic.
stupid.
I did not.
Stupid,
Did not know he was
stupid,
going to come up and try to get
stupid,
cooked on the same topic.
machine! Stupid fucker. You just lost your
Oh boy.
dumbass bitch. From China!
And yes, they were.
Who? Show me in the Bible. Shit, you might be right. I just need to see it.
Where is it? The fleeing slaves do not return the slaves to their masters. Where is it?
That's a whole different passage. You're referring to Deuteronomy 15:23, I think. But that doesn't say what you wanted to say.
That the Gentiles, anyone who was believing, were encompassed within the children of Israel?
It doesn't say anything like that, actually.
So do not return the slaves to their masters, because you were once sojourners in a... So it doesn't say that?
Not the way you think it does. It doesn't say do not return a slave to his master. Not the way you said it. Want to see what it actually says?
Sure.
Okay, I'll read it to you. It's actually, first of all, it's referring to foreigners, and second of all, it's not. I don't think it's referring to runaway slaves, and neither did the ancient rabbis think that as well. The ancient Hebrew rabbis agree with me on this particular topic. So
I just
what we find in Deuteronomy.
Not cutting off your left ear, slut.
I'll show it. There we go. Deuteronomy 23:15. I said 15:23. I got that backwards. 23:15. Now, in some English translations, it might say something akin to, "You shall not turn over to the master a slave who has been delivered to you from his master." But this is not only generic, it's slightly deceptive, because what it actually says in the original Hebrew is, "You shall not turn over to the master a slave who has been delivered or given to you by its master." This is not a runaway slave, it's a slave who has been delivered to you. Meaning it's a slave who was purchased, who is emancipated, and a foreigner at that. Which is why it says such individuals will live with you in any place that they may choose among the settlements in your midst, wherever they please. You must not take them because they're foreigners. And the ancient rabbis agreed. Kushin in the Talmud says this verse is speaking of one who acquires a slave not to enslave him, but in order to emancipate him. Says this verse is speaking of the one who buys a slave on the condition to free him. Gittin 45. This verse is speaking of one who acquires a slave in order to emancipate him. And you might be answering or asking, why would someone buy a slave in order to emancipate them? Because almost 50% of slave purchases in the ancient world, a lot of them were actually adoptions. You would purchase a slave, you would adopt them out of slavery, and then you can use them in your household if you didn't have a son or daughter. In fact, if you needed a daughter and you couldn't find a daughter, you could adopt a slave and make her a daughter. If you needed a son, you could adopt a slave and make her a son. But part of the rules of slave adoptions is once you adopted them into your household, you couldn't return them to slavery. You couldn't do it. Now, you could also just set them free, of course. You could just emancipate them, which is what the ancient rabbis thought was happening.
They thought that was happening.
Now, most modern scholars will tell you that this could refer to a runaway slave, but specifically a foreign runaway slave, because most of the ancients had like these national agreements with the neighboring other nations saying that if one of your slaves runs away to me, I'll return it. If one of my slaves runs away to you, you return it. And then here's the reward or penalty for such behavior. Israel didn't have anything like that. Israel did have a runaway slave, or did have a procedure for gathering runaway slaves. And in fact, we see it in 2 Kings. In 2 Kings, there's a guy named Shammai who has runaway slaves. They go all the way down to the area of the Philistines, and he goes down there to retrieve them. It's in, let me grab you the passage. It's going to be 1 Kings 2:39. Sorry, not 2 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 39 is where we find that. So yeah, this nonsense about how slaves could just run away and get their freedom, that's not a thing that actually existed. There we go. Let's grab 39. But it happened at the end of 3 years that 2 of Shammai's slaves ran away to King Achish, son of Maacah of Gath. When it was told to Shammai, your slaves are in Gath, Shammai arose, saddled a donkey, and went to Achish in Gath to search for his slaves. Shammai went and brought his slaves from Gath. That was an Israelite. He was doing what people were doing at the time period, namely retrieving their runaway slaves.
But again, I'm talking about the freeing of slave Gentiles.
Yeah, there's nothing in the Bible that says you can free your Gentile slaves.
Yeah, when they convert.
Nope, doesn't say that.
You're considered a Jew once you convert.
You're not. You're still a foreigner living in the land.
God damn it.
Just because you're following the law of the land doesn't mean you're part of their people. That's why you're property. It says you're property and you're property forever, which, again, you've never addressed. We've read it 10 times. You have never addressed the fact that it says that they will be your property forever. Address that.
Yeah, if they remain within their, say for instance, culture or norms are stuck there. But if you were to get circumcised and become a Jew, you are now underneath the Jewish law.
Yeah, but you don't become a Jew.
Yet by being circumcised, my man.
No, you don't.
Now, fuck up
So,
that bitch.
say for instance, with Abraham, you'll notice when you go to Abraham, when he's talking about circumcision, God gives explicit directions to Abraham. If any of the slaves among you
They're circumcised as slaves. Yes.
You know, if they refuse to be circumcised, they are now cut off.
Yeah. You kill
The
them.
slaves, right?
Yeah, you kill them.
No, it's not. It's not being killed.
No, it means killed. It explicitly tells you in Leviticus that when people are taken out and stoned, it says cut off. It says their guilt will be upon them.
Yeah.
We know what cut off means.
No. Cut off has it's an encompassing term. So
I don't think you know what that means.
Yeah, it's an encompassing term. So just like I was saying, what do you call that? A eunuch. There's differing factors of being a eunuch. To be cut off does not mean, you'll be cut off as in being killed. Killed is a part of that, but you can be ostracized from the community, as in being kicked out or set out of the community. So say for instance, when people were breaking the law, they would be put out of, when the children of Israel were in the desert, when they were cut off from me, set apart, they pushed them out for a certain time period, and they were reinstitutionalized after a cleansing period.
No, it doesn't say that. Nope, wrong again. The word cut off from the people means that you've been removed from the people, and quite often it means that you were killed. Doesn't always mean that you're killed, but it certainly does quite often mean that you were.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You're saying it's meaning that directly, but I'm saying no, it doesn't.
It does. Want me to show you where?
If anyone refuses to be circumcised, they will be killed?
No, I didn't say they'll be killed, they'll be cut off. What I'm saying is that in the Bible, the phrase cut off means you're removed from your people, and quite often, it also... Quite often? Keith, I don't know why you're talking while I'm talking. No one hears you. It also often means, especially in the book of Leviticus, that you're going to get stoned. Because you killed somebody outside of the city, outside, cut off from the people. That's why it says that you'll cut them off, and they'll be stoned, and their blood will be upon them. I'm not saying every time a person was cut off from the people that they're going to die. What I'm saying is that people who don't get circumcised get removed from the community, and or they even get killed. I don't think it matters if they get killed, but you're still missing the point, because being circumcised as a slave is non-optional. That's why the priests have to make sure all of their slaves are in fact circumcised. They don't not become slaves once you circumcise them.
Yeah,
that verse? Can we go to that?
Hold on 1 second. In Genesis 17, when Abraham is told to circumcise his slaves, is there a second commandment that then set them free?
I'm going to have to ship soon in a few minutes.
Or sit in?
Genesis 17, that's what you're referring to when God says to Abraham to circumcise all of his slaves, right?
Yeah, he tells them to circumcise the slaves, but if you go to Genesis 17, verse 14, and any males who is not circumcised...
Let's talk about the ones that are. Let's talk about the ones
shit.
that are. Are they freed?
Badly.
No.
Okay. So I don't know what we're doing.
It's okay. Keith is concussed. He has no idea what he's doing. I think what he's trying to say is that once you become circumcised, you're no longer a slave because you're an Israelite, but that's just not in the book.
But if that were true, then Abraham's slaves would have been freed if once they were circumcised.
But they certainly weren't.
Yeah.
If you're a foreign slave in Israel, you're a foreign slave, and you're a foreign slave for life. And he's gone. I've never heard someone, he's come back. Let's see what he has to say about this.
There you go. Sorry, I had audio issues.
Yeah.
And so I was saying, if you're a foreign slave, in the sense of you're still practicing the way you practice, you're stuck to bound. But
it doesn't say that in the book. Not only does it not say that in the book, it doesn't even make it better. Because all you're saying is that it's okay to enslave people as long as they don't believe what you believe.
No, are you talking about like our modern version of slavery?
There's literally no difference between the transatlantic slave trade and what we see in the Bible. None.
So, say for instance, are you saying like chattel slavery? Because that's exactly what...
Chattel slavery, yeah. When somebody becomes your property for life, they're not free to leave, and they have to do what you tell them or you beat them with a stick. That's what the Bible says you can do.
My man.
It's like you weren't even listening the first time we talked. What do you think a chattel slave is?
So, chattel slavery is when you go out and you grab somebody, right?
No.
That's literally what chattel slavery means.
No, that's not what it means.
It does.
No, it doesn't. How much money do you want to put on it?
Well, chattel slavery.
I've never seen someone so confident and know so little.
Like they even said this online very clearly. They said there's a difference between historical slavery versus...
What do you think the word chattel even means? Are you aware that chattel is a modifier for the word slavery?
Where's that? Slavery. Oh, doggone it. Right.
Yeah, doggone it. It came up with a definition that's not yours. I know. Chattel means property, Keith.
Chattel slavery.
Which means if you're a chattel slave, you are a slave as property. You're someone's property.
Okay, well, I'm back. No. He's trying to Janet has Uzi on.
Okay. Right here. There's actually a whole article on it as well.
You don't need a whole article, you just need a definition.
Chattel slavery and what is the difference between chattel slavery?
Whoa,
slow down.
Slow down. We asked you for a definition. Give me the definition.
And it's saying, look, the institution of slavery has been taking various forms throughout history.
Keith, I'm going to need you to stop yapping about the article you found. We can address that.
Stop yapping.
The first thing we're going to do is talk about the definition of chattel slave. That's where we're at. I know that like you're really uncomfortable right now because you just looked up the definition and it doesn't say what you want it to say. And now you found an article that thinks it's going to help you, but it's not going to help you. So try to focus. We can get to whatever BS claims are in your article next. Right now, we're talking about what the word chattel slave means. Can you focus on that for a moment?
It's to, say for instance, go capture somebody and make them your
Show me where that definition is. Because the definition from dictionary.com, from Merriam-Webster, from literally everywhere else says a chattel slave is a slave owned as property.
Keith, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When our people were slaves and they were bred, the children of those slaves, were they also chattel slaves?
Yeah, they had no rights.
Okay.
Had no rights.
What, did anybody go anywhere to capture those children, or were they just born as slaves?
Damn
They
it.
were born as slaves, but the encompassing...
Look, aside from that, they did have rights. They just didn't. You just weren't treated as people.
No, they had no rights.
Yeah, they did.
No, they did.
They had no rights.
They did.
They absolutely did.
What rights did a slave have?
There were laws on the books where you couldn't unalive a slave. There were laws on the books where you couldn't be like overly harsh to a slave. Now, whether or not they followed that everywhere.
Those laws are actually sourced from where?
They have the law codes. Like
Yeah,
the Virginia slave laws are maybe the most popular example, but we have law codes from the time period telling you what you can and cannot do with your slaves.
But that's not the point. The point is, you said that a chattel slave is a slave that you go out and go capture and bring them back. Nobody captured the kids. They were chattel.
The parents, right, were captured. And so because their parents
the kids were not.
So what are you saying? When someone's born, they're just instantly a slave?
No, I'm saying typically. No, look, there are scenarios where somebody is a slave and their kids are not slaves, right? That's possible, right?
Yeah, it's a possible scenario. But
okay.
I'm saying, are you then?
But in this case, the kids were slaves and they were still considered chattel. Chattel just means property.
Yeah, but when I'm using chattel slavery, I'm making a distinction. So I'm not just using a gun.
You're not.
Look, this is an idiosyncratic distinction. And actually, it's one. We're not even 30 days away from Juneteenth, and it's one that's starting to irritate me. What is the point that you're trying to make? Like, what's your overarching point?
What he wants to say is that the African American slave trade is different than what was in the Bible, but it's not going to work.
Well, let's say I grant that. Are you saying that there is some type of slavery that's nice?
So people go to jail and they're forced to do labor. Is that slavery?
That's jail. I'm just asking you. Is there some type of look? You're not gonna. No, that's not what I'm saying. If that was what I was saying, those words are available to me. I could have said that. I'm asking you if you think that there's a type of slavery that's nice.
That's nice. Slavery overarching is not really a great thing, but it happened historically for a reason.
It was a yes or no question. I don't know why you couldn't say yes or no. Try again,
Is slavery a good thing?
It's a logical fallacy. It's just
what's the fallacy? Hold on. What's the fallacy?
I bet money Keith doesn't know any logical fallacies.
Is it a formal fallacy or an informal fallacy? Me asking you a question.
No, I'm saying the question you're asking.
Yeah, how is a question a fallacy? Which fallacy?
It's the yes or no question.
The yes or no fallacy? Is that a formal fallacy or an informal fallacy?
I've literally never heard of the yes or no fallacy. I think what
you
want is the false dichotomy. Oh, you can't see it because it's green. I think you want the false dichotomy fallacy, but that's not what a false dichotomy means.
And just so you know, and the reason it's not is because the third law of logic is literally that everything is either yes or no. So it can't be a fallacy.
It's a loaded question fallacy.
A what?
It's a loaded question.
It's not. That's not what the question is.
What am I? The question. I'm gonna render the question again. You tell me what assumption do I have in my question? Do you think that there is a form of slavery that is nice?
Yes.
No.
Okay, good. See? So there was no fallacy in the question. You were able to answer it. What form of slavery is nice?
Romans 9. Christ calls...
Finish the sentence. Christ calls...
Christ calls his disciples his friends, but we call him master. He is our what? Our slave master, right?
Is that voluntary?
Is it voluntary?
Yeah.
Well, depending on what denomination
do I volunteer to be Christ's slave?
It's either you're going to be a Christ slave or you're going to be a...
Do I volunteer to be Christ's slave, yes or no?
Suck my dick, bitch.
I would say...
Or does he force you to be his slave?
Denominations don't help you here, by the way.
Well, it does, because you have some denominations who hold to what? That's what we call 5 points of Calvinism.
We'll try this again. Does God force people to be his slaves, or do we choose to be his slaves?
It's free choice. You don't have a slave master.
Okay, there we go. So we're talking about different things. We're talking about owning another human being against their will.
I would even say that it's not free choice.
You don't have an option?
No, Jeff, don't start that conversation. We're never going to finish the first conversation. He'll never get it.
You're right.
It's way over his head.
I'll just grant it. But look, in the same way that you say that biblical slavery in Leviticus is not the same as as chattel slavery in the Americas. I'm going to say whatever the fuck slavery you were just talking about in Romans 9 doesn't even come close to the type of slavery that is described in Leviticus. So it's two different things.
Yeah. So let me ask one more question because we're past our time. We have to get to the super chats. Let me ask one question to Keith. What is the difference between the Bible's form of slavery and the Americans going and purchasing slaves from the nations and bringing them back here? What's the difference?
One of the primary differences is, like, say for instance, you weren't allowed in the Bible terms. You couldn't go out and just take somebody.
That's wrong. Want me to read you where it says you can do that?
So, are you sure?
Yeah. First of all, I didn't say take. I said purchase. So you've already tried to straw man what I said. I didn't say anything about kidnapping, but the Bible does allow for kidnapping. Numbers 31, Deuteronomy 20, Deuteronomy 21. So
we're talking about slavery,
so we'll try this again. What's the difference between the Americans going on ships, buying a bunch of slaves from Africa, and bringing them back here? What's the difference between that and what was happening in the Bible?
God fucking damn it.
The difference is those who actually did that were supposed to be killed. In the say, for instance.
Okay, show me that in the Bible where it says going and purchasing slaves means you should be killed.
No, can I
Jesus
finish?
fucking
You can finish, but you're going to be wrong no matter how many words it takes you to finish.
So fucking Christ.
You just interjected me, But I'm saying, if a man goes out and captures another man...
I didn't say capture, I said purchase.
Purchase, you're allowed to purchase the slaves around you.
I agree, yeah, so what's the difference between purchasing African slaves and purchasing foreign slaves in ancient Israel? What's the difference?
The difference is you can actually be set free.
Okay, show me where it says the foreign slaves can be set free.
If they became a Jew.
That's not in the book. You spent yesterday and today trying to convince me of that. You haven't found a single fucking verse that agrees with you, not even one.
So, are only Israelites allowed to partake in the meal?
Partaking in food, partaking in the laws of the land doesn't make you part of the people group. It doesn't mean that you're now a Jew. It doesn't mean that you're now free.
It does.
It does not. You have to follow it. You don't get to. You have to, Keith. It's not fucking optional. If you live in that land, you must follow the laws of the land. There's one law for both the native-born Hebrew and the foreigners. You don't get to choose to follow the law. You have to. So everybody living in the land is following that law. That didn't make all the foreigners Jews.
Did the slave partake in the meal?
Yes, because everybody did. The command was for all of Israel. All of them.
Quick question.
So the Passover meal. Did you have to be circumcised in order to partake in the Passover meal?
Everybody did, because it was a sacred rite that made you clean according to the law of Moses. You cannot partake in God's covenant meal or in God's celebratory meal unless you are already abiding by the laws of cleanliness.
Keith,
So if
black
you're
people.
by the laws of cleanliness,
Keith?
you're a Jew, right?
Keith,
No.
No. Keith, were black people forced to go to... Were black people forced to go to church when they were slaves?
God damn it.
That has nothing to do with...
Were black... I'm just going to ask the question again. Were black people, as slaves, forced to take part in
God
Christianity?
Damn it.
Yeah.
Were there black people who came to the Americas and purchased their family as slaves to free them?
Goddamn
Yeah,
Christ.
and there are black people who purchased slaves.
To free them, yes.
No, not to free them, to enslave them. Actually, the first African American was
Jesus,
fought
goddamn
for the right to own slaves for a lifetime was, I believe, in Virginia.
Goddamn.
Was an African American.
What was his name?
Jesus, goddamn.
Actually, it's about Is it alright if you give me time to just look them up?
Sure.
She's a fucking...
I see that the research on the white supremacist sites is like buzzing.
Christ or fuck. Christ, your God.
There you go. William Ellison Jr.
William Ellison
Jr. Born
on a
in
lot. William Ellison, the entire thing with William Ellison was about his estate going to his children or his
Christ,
wife.
fuck.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, then what was the court case that William Ellison brought up to keep slaves for life?
Christ, the fuck. Christ, the God, buck. Christ, the buck. Christ, the fuck. Christ, the buck.
The fun thing is we haven't even got to Exodus 21 yet, which is going to nuke his position.
Christ, the buck.
Is it alright if I
You can look it up and come back tomorrow. We're going to end on Exodus 21 because I got only a couple minutes left before I got to get to super chats. Exodus 21 says exactly the thing he doesn't want it to say. When you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve for 6 years, but in the 7th he shall go out a free person without debt. So these are Hebrews, keep in mind. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, so these are children now of the Hebrew man, the wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out alone. So the male Hebrews get to go out alone. Even if you give a wife to your male Hebrew temporary servant or temporary slave, the wife and the children remain permanent slaves of the owner, even though they're Hebrew. So,
Christ, the fuck.
Keith, you should consider the fact that these are bad talking points, which is why you're literally the first person who's ever even attempted this talking point. I've had this slave conversation with hundreds of people before you, and you're the only person ever that's ever attempted this bad talking point. And the reason why is because even Christian apologists know that this isn't a true talking point.
It's actually a true talking point.
It's not.
Yes.
I have.
It is.
I have.
That's why I'm saying only people who were circumcised were able to partake in the different.
It didn't make them not slaves.
It did.
It didn't, because then there wouldn't be a single slave among the Israelites, not a single one. It doesn't make you not a slave.
It does not make. It makes you treat it what?
It doesn't make you treat it anything. It makes you a slave that's been circumcised and cleaned according to the law. That's what it makes you.
That makes you a free man.
No, it fucking doesn't.
It does, man.
No, it does not.
So what's the purpose? So why would you want to be circumcised then?
To be clean.
You had to. It wasn't your choice. You didn't get to. You didn't choose to. You had to be circumcised. You're a slave. You don't get a choice. You don't get to choose.
So Abraham's slaves freed when they were circumcised. Yes or no?
Oh!
The Abraham slaves had a choice.
Were they circumcised?
They were. Not all of them. I don't know.
Show me that passage.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that. I just want to know the ones that were circumcised.
The passage you're referencing is 17:14. It says if they choose not to be.
Keith, I just want to know the ones that were circumcised, were they freed?
If they wanted to leave, yeah, they
my
could.
dick, bitch.
Show me that verse in the Bible.
Yeah, let's look at that.
That's the option. Could you walk away from the
No,
land?
show me that verse.
Thank you.
You know the logic of that means that after this law, that Abraham would have 0 slaves, because the ones who were circumcised were free and the ones who were not were cut off. Means get rid of them. So he wouldn't have any more slaves. They were either freed or kicked out.
Because the slave depended on his master for survival. That's why you have to understand slavery from a historical standpoint.
What?
That's crazy. No, they did not.
Hold on. Time out, Keith. If they depended on their master for survival, then why the fuck would they leave in the year of Jubilee to their wherever?
Because they have something to go back home to.
So they don't depend on them.
If they want... Now, remind you, there's laws in there that says, "Oh, I love my master. I'm going to pierce my ears." Why would you want to do that?
That's for Hebrews. I'm just asking you, in the year of Jubilee. In the year of Jubilee, hold on. You said that slaves. You said that slaves depended on their master for survival. But you're also saying that in the year of Jubilee, they were free. They got to leave.
If they wanted to.
If they want, it doesn't say that.
It does.
It doesn't. Keith, Keith, stop talking. Just stop. We talked for like 2 hours yesterday and the day before, and we've talked for another like 45 minutes today, and you have not provided a single fucking reference that says if you circumcise your slave, then they get to go free. Not a single one. It contradicts what God actually says. God says that if you give a male Hebrew slave a wife, the wife and the children become permanent property of the master, not the slave. They don't get to go free. It says the same thing in verse 7 of the same chapter. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. So she's a permanent slave. Slaves that are born in the household, those are household slaves forever. Those are not temporary workers, whether you're Hebrew or not.
Man, I could have fucked his ass.
You're not good at this. You're just not. And I've got to end the conversation because now it's time to read Super Chats and the conversation's already long in the teeth. Keith, I want you to come back tomorrow. I'll be alive for quite a while. You can bring the same bad talking points. Just know that if you come back being more dishonest, saying the Bible says things that it doesn't, I'm going to publicly embarrass you, and I'm going to make fun of you to your face, and then I'll probably find out who your family is eventually and show them this video so that you can embarrass your entire family as well. So, okay, so Keith, have a good day, and try again later, but come back with better talking points. I've never seen someone quite so dishonest. That's crazy. All right, let's read some super chats, friends. Shit, I know I've got a bunch of them. I apologize, but the way the conversations were going today, it wasn't really couldn't really do them in between. Kyle says, "Good day, Mr. Justin. Just fucking huge grace again." Okay, all right. This is what we're doing now. All right, huge grace to you, Kyle. Love you, buddy. Luke, with a name I might not pronounce correctly, Poplowski, thank you for the 999 super chat. Says, Justin, I've been worried you might be getting burnt out on some of these callers, but seeing you be so patient with your gym friend yesterday was reassuring, heartwarming, and kind. All the best. Well, I appreciate that, Luke. Luke, you know I've said before that all the best. Well, I appreciate that, Luke. Luke, you know I've said before that if people come in here and they've got a good attitude and they're being polite and they're not gaslighting and lying to me, I'm more than happy to treat them nicely. I'm not out here to pound everybody. Guys like Keith, though, lying gaslighters, yeah, I'll just pound them into the ground. William says, do you think a lot of things about Jesus were taken from other religions? I've never heard you use this in a debate. So, William, that's because I don't think it was that much of a taking. I think it was more like syncretism, where there's a quite often unintentional overlap in the religions. So like when the Jews came into contact with the Greeks, they adopted some of the Greek points of view that already seemed to align or could coexist with, in fact, the already held beliefs of the Jews. And so they're like slowly evolving viewpoints. The teachings of Jesus, most of them come from the apocalyptic literature, and the apocalyptic literature did combine a little bit of Greek ideas. And certainly being a son of God, like a demigod, was a bit of a Greek idea. Guys like Keith, though, lying gaslighters, yeah, I'll just pound them into the ground. William says, do you think a lot of things about Jesus were taken from other religions? I've never heard you use this in a debate. So, William, that's because I don't think it was that much of a taking. I think it was more like syncretism, where there's quite often unintentional overlap in the religions. So like when the Jews came into contact with the Greeks, they adopted some of the Greek points of view that already seemed to align or could coexist with, in fact, the already held beliefs of the Jews. And so they're like slowly evolving viewpoints. The teachings of Jesus, most of them come from the apocalyptic literature, and the apocalyptic literature did combine a little bit of Greek ideas, and certainly being a son of God, like a demigod, was a bit of a Greek idea, but I don't think it's useful to point that out, and I don't even think it's compelling evidence, and I don't even think it's something you can prove. All you can say is, like, isn't it weird that Jesus is a demigod like these other Greek ideas or these other Greek entities? But like, when I do the debates, I typically stick to points that are provable and clear. I don't touch on points that are like, well, if you squint just right, you can see the connection. Those aren't like points worth arguing, because you can always be talking to someone who doesn't squint the way you squint. Manny, thank you for the super chat. Says, it's about to get crazy when this notification goes off. I grabbed the popcorn, you heard, all the way from Brooklyn. Well, shit. Big W over to Brooklyn. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. And yeah, if you want to be notified every time I go live, ring the bell on the channel, friends. That way you won't actually miss anything. And Jimmy Peterson says, do West Huff see facts as tests from the Lord? Actually, I think that is the case. He's not good with facts. He lost me when he couldn't pronounce Biblia Hebraicus Stuttgartensia, which is the standard form of the critical edition of the Old Testament. The fact that he is getting a PhD and didn't know how to say the name of that book properly makes me have huge reservations for his credibility. Marcus, thank you for the super chat, says, if it's so random, why is it so consistently hard to understand? What? Yeah, the first caller was an interesting one, talking about the randomness of the universe, or the so-called order. But like, if the universe is random, we would expect that it's a little bit difficult rather than organized, which would be more easily to understand. Lyricus says, is it possible primordial chaos is an explanation for evolution? Maybe, so the Bible does kind of point a little bit to the primordial chaos, similar with the Babylonian and the Akkadian literature, suggesting that the gods didn't create something brand new necessarily, although the creation of the heaven and earth by Tiamat is one of those things, but there are still primordial waters. That idea shows up in the Bible in Genesis a little bit, but I don't think it has anything to do with evolution, if you ask me. Because then you would just say, well, I have a view of God where the universe is eternal, but now we've got this weird God that's also eternal, who didn't create everything, and he just like came over to Earth at one point and formed Earth. It doesn't actually explain everything else. It's also, I don't know if it really explains like the problem of evil either, you know? Dread the Red, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, hey Justin, when are you getting some Doug's Pretzels Factory?
Okay, I'm gonna be a poor sport bitch.
That would be good to do Doug's Pretzel Factory. Shit, I gotta write that in my notes.
I just do this. I just play the fucking goddamn game. Like a white.
I really do need to break down these ideas and make them come into the world. We love the product. Now it's time to spread the word. Hey, I appreciate that. I'm spreading the word as much as I can, Dread. Thank you for supporting. And also, thank you, Keith. Different Keith. This is a more rational Keith. Thank you so much, Keith, for the $50 super chat. That's huge, friend. I think one of the things that creeped me out the most when I was a Christian was when pastors used to say that Jesus is the bridegroom coming for his bride. What a gross, creepy analogy. Doug has never asked me to be a bride. Praise Doug. And he won't. Yeah, the idea that we are the bride of Christ is a really creepy, weird thing to think about. You can say, like, well, it's an analogy, it's not literal, but even as an analogy, it's silly. It doesn't make sense. When you look at all the way the analogies could play out, it doesn't make sense that we would consummate with Christ. Marcus Says, I absolutely love when these callers jump on and imply that there's biblical interpretation that Justin isn't aware of. Buddy, he has a degree in this. And two of them, actually. Yeah, it's wild to me that they'll get on and be like, well, you just don't understand. You haven't read it, or you don't know the context. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Tell me more about it. Josh says you have to understand the context, Justin. I'm sorry.
God damn it.
I forgot when I was in school getting my diplomas. I forgot to actually read the book. It just never occurred to me I should read the entire Bible. Punctuated Equilibrium, good to see you again. It says, super chat from yesterday, in response to Philippians 2 hymn, starts in verse 6. If Jesus was in appearance of humans, he was not human, so can't have two natures. Yeah, and what also says that he took on the human form and experienced being a human just like we do, which means he was a human, not God. Like, at some point, to make the Trinity work, and you know this punctuated, you have to go to some sort of modalism bullshit and say that God came to Earth, changed his form and nature to be like that of the man. You can't say that Jesus was 100% God and 100% man because he's just got a problem. And Dr. Pizza says the true mark of a moron is when they say exactly after they've been demonstrated to be wrong. Hail Nero, praise Doug. Hail Nero, 616 and 666, big W, friend. And Herbie says, if I've understood this right, it seems to be the case that a lot of your callers seem to think words don't mean words. Strange. Herb, you are right, and you did understand that right. 9 out of 10 callers, their defense mechanism is words don't mean words, and context. I don't know what the context is, but I know you're missing it. David, good to see you again today. David says, golf lesson today. Have to watch later. 27 years with bad swing. Prayed for God to fix it. No luck. Then 3 years to change. Taking 3 years to change. Well, listen, David, I haven't golfed in a while, but I used to golf. And here's what I can tell you about golf swing. Just relax and have fun. You'll swing much better if you're just having a good time. The minute you take it too serious and you're like, I need to drive the ball 300 yards and birdie every hole, it's going to fuck you up. It's going to get in your head. Just go out there and have a good time. You'll be alright, David.
Also, look at the ball and not at the flag.
That's right. Never take your eye off the ball. Even when you're done with your swing, like when I swing, my goal is that even after I'm done with my swing, I want to be looking at that ball. Now, obviously, if you do a full swing, it'll eventually bring you out. But that's the swing thought. My swing thought is never take your eye off the ball, even after you hit it. If you can do that, you'll be in good territory. But listen, golf's hard. I had a friend who was a golf instructor once. He said, there are, at minimum, 7 things that you have to do right in your golf swing. Any one of them will fuck your shot up if you do them wrong. So, it's a sport. They say football is a game of inches, golf is a game of millimeters. Donuts, my friend, thank you for the $300 Argentine. Big W over in Argentine. Says, glad I can join the lives more often. Doug compels me to support the channel. Happy cooking. Well, Doug would do such a thing. The Rock of Ages supporting his own ministry here. I really appreciate that, so thank you for being so supportive of the channel. And praise Doug, the Rock, the Firm Foundation. Spiders 666, thank you for the 666. It says, Reverend Herman Newdick. I love that play on words every time. Reverend Herman Newdick here. I once was flaccid, but now I am rock hard. Praise Doug. Because you've got the hermeneutic now. See? I'm with you. That was good. I appreciate that. Dan, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, I can't understand what is happening in the conversation about the topics, so I'll just whine about people watching instead. Arnav. Yeah, that's the crazy thing with Arnav. He could not focus. He came in with a good disposition at least, but boy, was he... Like, he knew he was getting cooked, and he knew that the chat knew that he was getting cooked, and, you know. Godwin says, Abby how, Abby where, Abby when, Abby what, Abby who. That's a good joke. I've heard that in a while, Godwin, but Abby who is, he's one that I've heard that. Abby when, Abby what, Abby. Godwin says, Abby how, Abby where, Abby when, Abby what, Abby who. That's a good joke. I've heard that in a while, Godwin, but Abby who is, he's one member of the Old Testament that doesn't get enough credit. He was in there. He was solidly in there. Alex says thanks. Well, thank you, Alex. I appreciate you supporting. Adam Brown, my friend, welcome in. Great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Says Kinnaman's calls. What's next? Audio Adrenaline. I love me some Audio Adrenaline. Please tell me one of the members of Audio Adrenaline deconstructed. Says, what flashback? What a flashback. Also, when you're a Christian. When you were a Christian, who was your favorite authors and or speakers? Good question. It did shift from time to time. Let me think on that. I don't know if I had any favorite speakers. I didn't really listen to a whole lot of speakers. I did have some favorite authors. The thing that I read the most as a Christian that I really enjoyed wasn't really a scholarly work. It was a devotional by Oswald Chambers. It was My Utmost for His Highest. I really enjoyed that particular devotional. I really like Oswald Chambers. I think he was really sincere, and I think the devotional reflects how sincere he was. But when it comes to scholarly literature, when I was a Christian, I loved all the same people that I love now. I loved reading about the Old Testament from guys like Hartley and Baker and Eugene Carpenter, and certainly, you don't want to forget like Jacob Milgram or Klaus Westermann. I mean, there's so many great Old Testament scholars that it'd be hard to name all of them. Peter says, Justin's origin story wanted to give free biblical educational material, ended up arguing with people who hate learning. Read, friends. Actually, Peter, that's pretty damn accurate. That's pretty damn accurate. I came online thinking I was going to have educational, meaningful conversations with people who are thinking about deconstructing or, in fact, deconstructing. And what I discovered was that nobody, like Christians don't want to do that. They just want to argue and fight. So now that's all we do, and that's fine. I can handle it. Bearded Heretic says, I love this cooking show.
I was going to say, that's a hell that I share.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
I go in that. Like, I swear I thought, hey, smart people to talk with. Nah. Doug had other plans for me.
That's exactly it, yeah. It's hard. It caught me off guard, actually. Thank you for coming here, Beard. It's great to hear from your friend. Thank you for supporting, too. And Dennis Lees, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Just if some Christians are convincing auditory hallucinations, if some Christians are a convincing auditory hallucination from murder, something's wrong in the sentence. If some Christians are a convincing auditory hallucination from murder and the universe is deterministic, have you considered how your baby pace example might shape future tragedy? Well, I don't know if the sentence was structured properly, but I think what you're asking is, if everything in the universe is determined and I'm giving baby paste analogies, is it possible that somebody will eventually be making baby paste? That might be what you're asking. I think that might be the case if everything is determined, because somebody eventually will look back on this live as from a historian standpoint and be like, Doug's real. Doug talks a lot about baby paste. Maybe we need to make baby paste. You never know. It could happen. But it wouldn't be my fault. It would be determined. I don't have to worry about that. Angry Amalekite Infant says, by the end of yesterday's live, when guests brought up Isaiah 23, I could tell you we're tired. That's good. That is good. I appreciate that.
God fucking damn it.
It was Ezekiel 28 though, not Isaiah 23, but I'll forgive you. It was a great joke, Angry Amalekite Infant. I love your jokes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting, friend. And Doro says, a few bucks to help stoke the fires of the pretzel factory. Got my mustard and beer cheese ready to go. Hell yeah, mustard and beer cheese is the way to go, especially if you're doing some pretzels. Dip that in what you need is a stout, a cheddar cheese stout soup to dip the pretzel in. That's really good. Alex, thank you for the super chat, says, what you have to understand is they all say it. It's an invitation to stop thinking. It worked on them, so they think it'll work on anyone. Alex, actually, that's a good point. The reason why apologists bring up these talking points is because it worked on them. And they think, it worked on me, it worked on my feeble brain, so it must work on others. But they're in the wrong place if they want feeble brains. We're not. El Travioso, thank you for the super chat, says, when I hear See, Justin, let me explain the Bible to you. I'm like, oh my Doug, time to hit pause and get the weenies and marshmallows ready. That's my favorite thing. I love it when people come up here and they're like, I need to teach Justin the Bible. Because it only goes one way. It never goes a second way. Daniel says, you can tell Jesus he ain't going nowhere near my heart. I don't want him anywhere near my heart, being that he advocated for executing children in Mark chapter 7. Nah. Neighbor says, just in time for some Christian peace and love. Wait, actually, some of the conversations were pretty peaceful today. I don't think we got into any like annoying yelling matches.
I just shit in my pants.
But I mean, they're going to happen soon. Crucifix me says, in Poland, it's a miracle God saved a painting in, I will not be able to pronounce that, Częstochowa during World War II when 6 million Jews died nearby. But hey, it's his mistress and love child, right? Yeah. That's the craziest thing. They're like, people are like, well, yeah, there's like these huge wildfires and a bunch of people died and it was horrific, but this Bible was preserved. This is basically what's happening here. There's a miracle, there's a painting that was preserved during World War II by miraculous means, but God was more concerned with that fucking painting than he was with the 6 million Jews that got gassed. Crazy to think about. Hey Dotson, thank you for the super chat. Says Dr. Justin Sledge, Esoterica channel. I love this channel. Just announced that he was fired from academia. For fuck's sake, for why? His class has been canceled. Huh. Miraculous means, but God was more concerned with that fucking painting than he was with the 6 million Jews that got gassed. Crazy to think about. Hey Dotson, thank you for the super chat. Says Dr. Justin Sledge, Esoterica channel. I love this channel. Just announced that he was fired from academia. For fuck's sake, for why? His class has been canceled. Huh. Any that can support him, please do. Yeah, I agree. Justin Sledge is amazing. His channel is big enough now that he can probably support himself without academia, but that's some grade A bullshit right there. But I do believe Esoterica is a treasure. Amazing channel. I highly recommend. Beandogs, thank you for the super chat, says traveling to incarceration festivals in Mansfield. Oh, I see. Sorry. I think this might be a joke. Traveling to Incarceration Festival in Mansfield, Ohio. I know exactly what you're talking about. Wife and I are listening to you cook and having some good laughs. Cheers. Well, Beandogs, thank you so much for letting me know. And next time you go to the Mansfield Reformatory, take some pictures. I want to go to the ghost tours. Tell me what you think about the ghost tours. Paper says, I love starting with conclusions first. Isn't that the best thing? We all know what I believe and can never be wrong, so we can start from there. Well, thank you, St. Brush, for the 666. And you know, the craziest thing is that theists will get on here and they won't just tell you what they're going on about. They just want you to let them go on forever. And then eventually, maybe, if you're lucky, get to a point. They never do. That's why when I get annoying people up here that won't tell me what they're talking about, I just say, alright, give me your conclusion, then you can support your conclusion. That works out a lot better for some people. Johanna, my friend, great to see you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, Jesus says this, Jesus says that. I wasn't aware Jesus wrote a book. Johanna, you're right. He didn't write shit. Which is crazy. He's the Messiah, right? He's God. God incarnate couldn't write us a book. AR, my friend, thank you for the super chat. Says, big question, does Orthodox Christianity produce Philbros, or are Philbros just drawn to Orthodox Christianity? I think a mixture of both. It's like a feedback cycle. But here's my thought. The reason why you see so many Catholic and Orthodox Philbros is most of them don't firmly believe in like sola scriptura and inerrancy. Like they believe in the tradition of the church and the teachings of the apostles and the the ecumenical councils and different things like that, right?
Oh my God!
Because they know that they can't turn to the Bible and defend the Bible as like this sacred text because it's full of problems. They're like, well, what's the next best thing? Well, if I can't prove Christianity by using Christianity, I have to use something outside of Christianity that ends up being philosophy. So they're at least starting ahead of the Protestants by saying, listen, I can't defend this bullshit. I gotta try something else. So that's what's happening. Rainbow Wolf says they will call us gays depraved and ask how can atheists be moral while making excuses for Numbers 31 and other grapes. Rainbow, that's the problem, right? they'll say that we are immoral because we think gay people should have equal rights, but also it was morally perfect for God to have a bunch of little virgin girls raped by the Hebrew warriors. Yeah. Good idea. Johanna says,
it's not a good thing to do. And Rainbow come in and again says, who are you to question God? And God is beyond your understanding, our gaslighting attempts. I agree, right? The minute somebody says you can't question God, I would say you can't question me as long as we're here saying things that are stupid.
Stephen says faith unfaithful. Faith unfaithful left me falsely true. Holy shit, that's a mind fuck. Faith unfaithful left me falsely true. I don't know what that means, Stephen. But thank you for the super chat. And Huge Grace coming in to terrorize me. I appreciate the super chat though. Says I haven't caught a stream in about a week. Did I miss anything? No, but I assume that you'll take it with huge grace. See what I did there? I joined in on the thing. Necro, my friend, great to see you. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, the arrogant ignorance of Christians is astounding. They pretend to know the Bible, then they pivot and obfuscate when you check them. Cope is their true religion. Actually, that is the case. They're sacrificing the blood of bulls and rams at the altar of cope, not at the altar of truth. Gemma J says, Amov, I think that was Arnav, convinced me not to get saved. Way to go, hero.
Yeah, Arnav did not. He did not do a good job of defending his faith.
Sir Gameslot says, this guest accuses the chat of not understanding the Bible, but gives his opinion for 30 minutes without quoting one scripture. Sir, you nailed it, right? What they'll say is anything but what the Bible says. You don't understand it, you have to take the context, you need to know the history, that's not in the original languages, but what they won't do is go to the Bible and tell you exactly what the words mean in the context and in the language. Phil Fun, great to see you today. Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, my 5-year-old son has been chewing on extension cords. Oof. That can't be good. I might to ground him. I think you mean I might ground him until he conducts himself properly. Hopefully, it's just a phase. He won't resist me. Holy fuck. There's so many good jokes in here for anyone who knows electricity. Phil Fun, this is a treasure, what you've just done. This should be a national treasure of jokes. This should be in every joke book. Electricity has a term called grounding, and then also conducts is what electricity does. You have a conductor that allows you to conduct electricity properly, which you couldn't do if you're not grounded properly. And phasing is another electricity term, and resistance is another electricity term. There's so many good terms used correctly in this sentence that I just chef's hats off to you. Chef's kiss, Phil Fun. That was magnificent. I appreciate that. And Insidious says, hi Justin, first live but seen all videos. Question, was the keeper of the quarry, he who sets in stone, Doug ever a Jehovah's Fitness... Wait, hold on. Okay, try this again. Was the keeper of the quarry, I don't know who that is, that ended in a period, not a question. He who sits in stone, Doug, ever a Jehovah's Witness? I don't fully understand your question, but was I ever a Jehovah's Witness? I was not. But thank you for being here, friend. Thank you for super chatting. And Lockhart for Doug, speaking of Doug, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Says, bad news, I just had to spend a bunch of money on home foundation peers. Oh. Yeah, they're the worst. And super expensive. But, I mean, they are part of the building code. If your foundation is Boeing, you have to put the piers in. Says, good news, Adele and I are now firmly affixed to the bedrock of salvation. Praise Doug. Well, the bedrock of salvation, you already know, is in fact Doug. In fact, if Doug was in the foundation to begin with, you wouldn't have needed piers. So there's that. For those who don't know what foundation piers are, you're just going to have to Google that one. I apologize. Johanna says, definitely time to get rid of this know-it-all. He can't even fork over a few bucks a month for knowledge. That's the craziest thing is people like, I'll put together a document, and then they'll think like I owe it to them. I don't owe you shit. I mean, like, listen, if you want the document, you gotta get it the way everyone else does. That guy Fox, thank you for the $10 super chat. Great name, by the way. May Doug grant you the stone to endure the flood of silly. These guests levy upon you. Well,
I'm gonna need something. I appreciate I do appreciate the kind words and the support. And trust me, I do need a little help from Doug to get through the flood. Maybe that's what the Jars of Clay were singing about all the time. Space Lord says, I don't get how a contradiction is an issue. Isn't that crazy he says that, right? We started by saying there was no contradictions, then he tried to quickly pivot and say, no, there's no meaningful contradictions. So I picked one about the law, because whether or not you should follow the law seems to be a pretty fucking meaningful contradiction. And then he equivocated even on that. Space Lord says laws that would be completed would state how to. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Laws that need completed do have regulations, and the law of Moses does have regulations. You know that, friend. Mr. Morpheus, my friend, great to see you, says Christians are contortionists. Simple. That's 100% factual. There are no lies detected in that statement. They are contortionists. And Germ says, we can't create codes in writing. Authors write entire sonnets that are palindrome. You can turn the whole thing around, and it is the same. Palindromes are really good. Actually, so this does bring up a good point, because now you're on the topic of like Bible codes. There are, if you actually look at what the Masoretic scribes did in the Hebrew documents, the Masoretic scribes did do a little bit of tinkering to hide some Easter eggs in there. There are actually some true-to-life Easter eggs, what you might call Bible codes, in only the Masoretic text, not in the original Hebrew text, just in the Masoretic text. But we don't have time to worry about that now. Space Lord says the only code I need is up, down, left, right, BA start. Is it left, right, or is it right, left? I always forget. But that's the Konami cheat code, and hell yeah, the Konami cheat code will always be more powerful than Jesus. Elteen, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. I super appreciate that. That's super generous, my friend. Big W. Says every third letter of John 3:16 spells Glarifel Gakalalu, which means cold spaghetti in a Scottish early progressive Martian, which has 13 letters, tribe of Israel, and is a food made of wheat like bread. Conclusion, Jesus is the bread of life. That makes perfect sense. Now that you've revealed that information to me, Elteen, I think our stream tomorrow is going to be Why Aren't You a Christian? Convert to Christianity like me. You've convinced me. I mean, that is essentially what they're doing with these dumb Bible codes, though. Biter says he could have just said 42. I know! It would be so easy. And if you don't know what that joke is going to, you'll figure it out eventually. Adam says, I knew Luke Skywalker was the Messiah when he had his Force pin removed. That was good. I appreciate that. That was a bona fide dad joke. I appreciate that, Adam. Big W. Big W for that. And Jimmy Peterson says Doug saw the F-skin, and he did not give an F. That's 100% right. Doug doesn't need your foreskin, friends. Doug will never ask you to cut yourself off or be cut off. He won't do that. Mardik, thank you for the 129 SEK Big W. Says always entertaining with callers pretzeling into Gordian knots on your channel. Keep on cooking. Well, I appreciate that, Mardik. And that really is the case. Listen, when you're up here and you're defending your faith, you have one of two options. You can look at the evidence and be like, oh, shit, yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up. It looks like you're right. Or you can twist yourself into 1,000 fucking pretzels and you can be a dishonest POSFF. Jammin, thank you for the super chat. This is chirp. Yeah, chirp. 30 seconds. Chirp. 30 seconds. Chirp. 30 seconds. Chirp. 30 seconds. Chirp. Smoke detector awareness, change your batteries. I'll never understand why people have smoke detectors and they don't change their batteries. If I went a whole day, just one whole day listening to a smoke detector chirp like that, I would lose my mind. I would go insane. I couldn't tolerate it. My brain isn't ready for that. Tim, my friend, said, for my dad, a roofer. Dad, if you're up there, grace be upon you, but not too much. She's huge. Okay, I like that joke, Tim. Okay, I like that one. That was a good one. That was a good, huge grace joke, but I agree. If your dad's on the roof, keep huge grace away. Huge grace, it might be bad. Cool says, great day to be part of the Church of Doug. Actually, every day is a good day to be part of the Church of Doug. And Marcus, my friend, thank you so much for sending out 5 DZ Debates memberships. That's super generous. And remember, the memberships are the backbone of the channel. The memberships really help to keep all this stuff going, and you get access to the deconstruction cheat sheet. Master Machinier says, I was a Christian longer than you have been alive. Yeah, isn't that funny that we have like these little Christian like tater tots up here trying to teach us about Christianity when we have been Christians for longer than they've literally been alive before we decided it was all bullshit. But yeah, tell me what you've learned in the 5 years that you've been a Christian. Marcus, thank you so much for the additional super chat, friend. Says, this was such a good barbecue, I had to make sure others get some. Great cooking today. What a bloodbath, Lamau. Yeah, it kind of was. They didn't come to perform. I mean, something was performed on them, that's for sure. A beating. Holla Furphy, holy shit. Holla Furphy, thank you so fucking much for sending out 50 DZ Debate memberships. That's fucking huge. Thank you so much, friend. That's incredibly generous. Let's get some W's for all of you. Crazy. And Hardwork says, I'm purchasing indulgences from Doug. Well, the good news is, all you have to do is be remorseful. You never have to purchase your forgiveness. Doug will forgive anybody. And St. Brush says, imagine my shock when Christians don't read. Yeah, they don't. They can't. They went to Christian schools. They barely learn the alphabet. Trude says, it must be painful to admit that your faith is based on contradictions that makes it rocky, but still, Arnav is surely applauded by David Dunning and Justin Kruger. Yeah, that's true. Listen, I agree with you, Trude. It's hard. It's hard to look at religion and say, shit, there's problems, there's contradictions. It's hard. I get it. I was there. But at some point, you have to... Chambermaid, thank you for the $10 super chat, says you don't have to be educated to understand that religion was created by patriarchal rulers to justify their abuse of others. It was a literal power play. I think that is quite literally the truth for a lot of the religions. I think that is the case. So we agree. Mitchell says, it will never get old watching you, Ian Blitz, rake these folks across the coals. Keep it up. Obviously, because coals are a form of rock. Obviously, we're going to rake them over the rocks, my friend.
Alright, fuck.
Thank you, Mitchell. I appreciate you supporting and watching. And Dr. Pizza says, here's some more money.